Well, I had to reset the camera there. Good afternoon. It is 5 o'clock on the 30th of April, 2020. Yes, the last day of the month. We've been sitting here with the Old Growler now for, let's see, 29 events. Tomorrow will be our 30th. We'll have to celebrate. In fact, I am going to celebrate. We've got some Thomas Hardy's Ale I'll tell you about later. Looking forward to it. And I tell you, the reason you're here, the reason I'm here, having been a journalist for 35 years covering this industry, and over the last 10 or so, vlogging and blogging about pubs, bars, and restaurants, particularly the wealth of breweries that we have here in Brooklyn. And now not to have them open, well, not to have them where I can sit down and chat with people, is certainly, it's been difficult. And so I've decided to invite you folks to come and visit and have a beer with me. So that way I'm not drinking alone. Oh, although sometimes I tell you, sitting here and just talking to a camera, I sometimes wonder whether I am or not. But no, you know something? Damn it, it's 5 o'clock. It's time to have a beer. Wandered over to the Henry Street Ale House where I usually get my beers. And Jerry wasn't there, unfortunately, but there's a nice selection of beers still on draft. And they're selling them by the growler. This here is a growler. And well, it's kind of a big growler, actually, when you think about it. Some of the other ones are a little smaller. Today we have, let's see, got Keg and Lantern? No. We have two, I think. I'm going to have to take a look and see what. I just have to look on the receipt to see what beer we have to taste today. Well, on tap, more or less. Let's see, what's today, the 30th, right? If I can take a look here. What does it say on the 30th? Is this the 30th? This is the 30th. Okay, we've got Two Roads. Once again, Road to Ruin. I'll tell you, I am going to keep that Two Roads company in business. We all know my background with those kids. I love them. They're great, good brewers. Let's crack this open and get a beer going. Okay. I don't think I can do this on camera, but come on, there we go. Have to let the little fella settle down. That's what we have to do. But it's a dreary day here in Brooklyn. I tell you, Brooklyn, USA, paradise on earth. And for those of you who are just showing up, who have tuned in, well, thank you very much for it. You found me somehow or other, and I appreciate it. The Old Growler has been around, as I mentioned a little earlier, for 29 productions and going into our 30th tomorrow. Tasting beers and kind of reworking a concept that you can see on the rest of the channel. It used to be regular beer tastings, and they were broadcast, went live on Wednesdays and Fridays. And I would go over to the Henry Street Ale House, the aforementioned establishment where I'm getting my beers, and we would, myself, the bartender, Jerry Scott, and Jim Bennis, another professional barfly, we would sit there, and what we'd do is we'd take a look at the label of a can of beer or a bottle of beer. We'd read it, see what the information was, get an idea of what the design is kind of evoking, and say, well, all right, what are we expecting? We don't rate the beers. We just, what are we expecting? And Jerry pours them out, and we sample it. And if it meets expectations, it gets a thumbs up. If it doesn't meet expectations, well, we try very hard not to mention the whole name of the company. That wasn't anything bad there. I was just, see, it's a little, that's not a terribly good pour. I'm going to try again to get a good head on this here beer. Once again, I didn't, should have taken a bar towel and wiped out the inside of this glass. It's a little dusty, but okay. It took me 4 minutes this time to get a beer ready. Oh, what service, I tell you. Well, cheers. Glad to have you with me. The road to ruin. That is going to ruin me. I tell you. Whoa, beautiful beer. Beautiful beer. Well, I hope you folks are doing well. Hanging in there. Well, hanging in there. I mean, to hang in there. That's kind of a gruesome thought. Hanging in there. How'd you hang in? Let's see. How you doing? Well, I'm not half bad. Well, how about the other half? Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that's. You see, there's bar talk for you. That's what I miss. Is just to sit and kind of. Oh, geez. Dunleavy? The Ginger Man. Yeah. Ginger Man Dunleavy, I believe he was. The Ginger Man Irish novelist. And it mainly had to do with the type of, just kind of, I wouldn't say banal conversation, but James Joyce was the same way in his Portrait of an Artist. There was always just the rhythm of the sounds. When you go into a bar, you would say the same thing. Hi, how's it going? Oh, not half bad. Such and such. That's the conversation that makes up life. But it's not particularly what the words are. It's just how we inflect, them. Yeah, that's. Well, anyway, we're going to taste a couple beers today. Why don't we get right down to it? I've always got my standard there, 2 roads to fall back on in case this meets with a disaster. But the first one we've got here is kind of a. I don't know if you can tell. It's kind of a lime colored thing, and it looks. It's got a picture of a slushy on it. One of those things that you go into. It's frozen and it comes down in slushies and. Anyways, it's got a picture of a slushy on it, and it says "Keep cold, keep cold." 903. 903 Brewers. Keep cold. 903 Brewers. Smoothie style Gers Ale. Key lime pie. Oh, brother. I'm afraid. I'm very afraid. Okay, let's go over here. Okay. Slushy smoothie style Gers Ale. Please read. This beer is packed with fruit, much more than we've ever put into a beer, and must be cared for unlike other beers. Keep this beer cold. Turn over once before serving to redistribute any settled fruit. Do not shake. Holy shit. They want me to turn they've got floaters in here is what they got. Well, no, that's not bad though, Peter. Be nice. Drink fresh. Enjoy and repeat with the next flavor. 4.5% alcohol by volume. 903 Brewers, brewed and canned in Sherman, Texas. Don't get me started. I have a particular. I got some friends in Texas, so I don't want to say nothing good or nothing bad. So okay, what do we got here? We got lime, that's for sure. So it's lime color. We know the lime is on there. We got a slushy, which means that it's probably got some kind of. And key lime pie, boy, oh boy, when you put key lime pie on a beer, that scares the ever-loving Beelzebub out of me. And I go, well, it doesn't tell me how bitter it is or anything. Okay, well, it says to what is it? It says to turn it over once. Turn over once before serving. Me or the beer? That was bad. I will not. Okay, there we go. Turned it over. Oh, turn it over so I can see when it was bottled, canned. Let's see when it says. 28/3/19. So that was the 20th day of March 19 last year. So it was almost a year old. Well, we'll see how it ages. Rock of Ages, not a Rock of Ages, Beer of Ages. Okay. As I say, I'm very afraid of this. What am I expecting? I'm expecting a lot of lime. I'm expecting sweet. I'm expecting a candy beer. A goody beer. Oh, geez, and it's gonna be cloudy. And oh boy, we all know how I love cloudy beers. Step back from the camera, Peter. Ladies and gentlemen, that looks foul. Was gonna lime, all right. Now, yeah, as we've noticed, there is no head on this beer. Scientifically, there's a reason. And the reason for it is that oils do a damn on any kind of carbonation head or anything like that, and so that's why every once in a while, if you are ever at a banquet and someone is it doesn't look like beer. No, it doesn't. I say, oh no, this is a scary beer. But as I was saying, the oils have a tendency to knock the head down, the carbonation down in anything. So if you've ever gone to a say maybe a wedding reception or a bat mitzvah or some kind of thing where there's champagne and it's poured in glasses in the waiters or the waitress, the wait staff bring these huge trays of champagne glasses that are already poured. Well, you can tell how they pour them. What they do is they rub a little oil on their finger and just rim it around each one of the, and that way when they pour it, they can pour the champagne quick because it's not going to overflow. Okay, a little bit of totally useless trivia. Let's taste this. This is a key lime pie. Well, it's got lime in it. It's got a lot of lime in it. It's not like yesterday's grapefruits. Oh, when you go back to the Old Growler 28, we had a couple of grapefruit beers. Boy, they had no grapefruit at all. This one's got lime. And why someone would make this, why someone would drink this, is something that I'm probably going to go to my grave wondering. Not so fast, not so fast. No, this was a, well, did it meet expectations though? No, man. I mean, it fell below expect. I mean, it was a scare. I was scared, but no, that's beyond scary. That's just not proper to call that. I don't know why they did that. I will never mention their name again. All right, our second beer of the day. This is another winner. Although these guys up in the Harpoon Brewing Company up in Boston and Windsor, Vermont. These kids, they put out good beer, and I've had some growlers from these guys. I think I'll try and find some of the links to the other tastings, the more traditional tastings we've done of some of the Harpoon beers. They're a lot of fun, and I think we also we visited the Harpoon Brewery, and I know I've got a couple of videos of that, so I'll put the links in the information box below. Okay, so what do we got here? Well, UFO is their wheat beer, and it's I think it's also unfiltered option or unfiltered other or something like that. But there's no information on that here. But it's a UFO. It's got a snowflake on there. I certainly hope that's not a political statement. No, it's not, because it's called Winter Blonde Vanilla Cold Brew Ale. UFO. Boston, Massachusetts, Windsor, Vermont. Let's see what else it's got on here. 4.9% alcohol by volume. Beer brewed with coffee. Beer brewed with coffee. PR. pH? I don't know. It's hard to read. Okay, and so it warns me it's brewed with coffee. Oh, I get it. vanilla cold brew ale. It's a coffee ale. Okay, coffee, coffee wheat ale. Refreshing winter delight. It says a refreshing winter delight. Please recycle. Do not litter. Okay. Well, what am I expecting? I'm expecting a dark colored beer. Hopefully effervescent, being that it's I believe a wheat based and coffee flavor. Now, once again, coffee has oil in it, so depending on how and what they put the coffee in during the boil, or whether they put it in when they were canning it, I don't know. But as we experimented with the slushy there, when you got oil in beer, it does not go good. It's very bad. Okay, well, so I'm expecting a dark. I'm expecting a black ale. That's what I'm expecting there. Made for the winter time. All right, let's crack it open and see what we got. Good sound. Oh, we got some good foam. A dirty glass. Whoa! Surprise, surprise, Sergeant Carter. That is not a dark beer. Oh, maybe that's why they call it a winter blonde. If you could read the label, a winter blonde. Does it say there? Does it right there? It says blonde right there, blonde. Okay. I can read, I swear. I can cipher too. Boy, this is taking longer than waiting for the R train. Oh well, I don't know. Well, let's check the aromatics. Nada, niente. Okay, so I got a clear beer, a clean beer, a very effervescent. Okay, there we go. You can see the carbonation on that. That's a lively beer. So we got sweet beer. I know that. Some bitch. There is coffee. I mean, once I read the label and knew that it was coffee, I knew it was coffee. I did. It's more of a peach flavor. That is the weirdest thing. Now, you watch. I'm going to take a look at the bottom of this can, and it's going to be like 10 years old or some good thing like that. Okay, it says enjoy by May 15th, 17. So it's 3 years past its due date, so to speak. So that might, damn, that's a good, that's a, Okay, kids. Yesterday we tried the grapefruits, and they were all old too. I mean, there's some of those. I think a couple of them were 5 or 6 years old, and the grapefruit had disappeared. Well, this is a few years old, or than it should be, and it's supposed to be it's brewed with coffee, and I don't. There's no coffee, so I'm beginning to think that, especially the lighter alcohol beers, that the any flavor that you add into them is going to dissipate, even if it is in a metal container, so the light can't get to it. And this has been taken care of very well. I mean, if it has been warmer than 75 degrees, I would be amazed. Yeah. 3 years old past its expiration date. So I'm beginning to assume, no, what I'll have to do is dig up some more elderly beers and low alcohol elderly beers, and check them out. And I've got a few. I mean, really, I started going through because of this semi beer drought. Started going through some of the beers that I've got, and we've tried some of the ancient ones, and the high alcohol ones, and so now I'm working my way down to the lower alcohol ones. And boy, I think maybe I should have gone the other way around. That's a peach beer, but I've been fooled by stranger things. I really have. So does Harpoon Winter Blonde Vanilla Cold Brew Ale UFO Cold Brew Ale, does it meet expectations? Considering the date on there, it exceeds expectations, because if I'm going to judge by the other beers that totally lose any flavor at all over time, especially the lower alcohol beers, I'd have to say it meets expectations. It did. It met expectations. That is the way it is. So we've done the tastings. Now I can go back to my regular beer. We have had a request about some information. Somebody sent a note in. Monica sent a note in about a headline in the New York Times. There we go. That the headline is "A Beer Lover's Nightmare. They are dumping draft brew. As bars and tap rooms close, many craft brewers have too much aging beer on their hands, but others are finding new ways to package and sell it." There have been a number of stories. I checked just before I went live today. Just a general Google up of what was happening, and I would say 50%. 50% of the stories were upbeat, and 50% of the stories were just doom and gloom. And after reading briefly, going over, I would say at least a dozen different stories, and from the Midwest, California, particularly Colorado, and this one I think is incumbent in, talks about Minneapolis and Minnesota, Oregon. It's a mixed bag, and a good friend of mine, another beer writer, brain fart, Lou Bryson down in Pennsylvania. I believe it's Lou, and if it's not Lou, if I've got the wrong quote here, because I don't have the URL address on this, but it has to do with kegs in particular, and where wholesalers and brewers, especially mid-range brewers, brewers that cover like a territory. Oh, I was going to say Sierra Nevada, but they're a nationwide brewery, and so let's see. Oh boy. Say Genesee, because they do some craft beers, supposed craft beers as well. They've got a lot of stuff tied up in kegs, and some of the smaller breweries only have kegs. They do not have bottling line or canning lines, and so I think that's what it comes down to mainly is how dependent are you on kegs. And I have said that I've written that Crowlers, CROWLERS. I think we might have one around here somewhere. No, I don't. But it's a large can. I mean, it's, I guess, 16 ounce and 16 ounces, 32 ounces. Yeah, 32 or more. We used to call them GIQs, Genesee Imperial Quartz, when I went to school. But the large this is a 32 ounce Crowler. It's possible to put those up, but in establishments that have draft beer. So you would have to have your kegs you'd have to be going through the kegs and turning them into crowlers for the takeaway crowd for the states that are able to do that. And that is part of it, that there are so many different state regulations, and all the states are different. It's very different, and in fact, some counties are different, and it just it's very difficult to say what to do about this. And essentially, well, my boy points out here that if you can't even buy crowler machines that's yet, because they're out. Let's see, there's 140 kegs in a picture that he showed, which means 15.5. Each one is 15.5 gallons, with a crowler at 32 ounces, 4 to a gallon, 62 to a keg with no wastage, which is unrealistic. So say about 55 to a keg. 55 times 140 equals 7,700 crowlers. So just for the kegs, if you see a crowler takes 2 minutes to fill and seal, which is again unrealistic, that's about 250 hours of nonstop work. So say you have 4 machines at 60 hours. Oh wait, then you have to source all the crowlers, and how do you get them out? And so he kind of shoots down my crowler theory quite a bit. But I think what it comes down to what a lot is coming down to right now is the different areas and the different states. You have to adjust locally. There's not going to be a cookie cutter answer to what the brewers are going to do with their beers. I remember a couple of times seeing small breweries have to dump the beers because they simply couldn't even give it away. So it's going to be interesting to watch. I happen to think that the breweries that are mid-size, that in particular have clients that they know personally, a group of clients they know personally, a really steady local feel for the community and the community for them, and have diversified, who are able to can, because you can rent a truck to come up and can your beer for you, or using the crowlers, or even the growlers. The human mind can come up with solutions, and the fact is that they're not cookie cutter solutions is what's frustrating everyone, and it has to do with the whole anything that's happening right now. We can it's very difficult to do it cookie cutter. You're having to fly by you're having to guess, and people don't like to guess. So uncertainty is driving the market up crazy, and blah 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 blah. But it's time for a beer, a good beer. Yes, here we are. We're back to the good beers. Oh, good beer. 2 roads. Road to Ruin. Sorry, Bob. I've been on the road to ruin for a while. And some of the roads have been fun, I guarantee you. Especially, I'm going to reminisce now about good beer and press trips. Good beer in particular in St. Gallen, Switzerland. Let's see, what is this? This is telling me something. Video download has crashed. What the hell do I care? So anyways, on one of the press trips, and we'll go back a few, well, a press trip, once I was a travel writer, once upon a time, a long time ago, for a travel agent magazine, and I ended up in St. Gallen, Switzerland in 1988, and it was in September, and it was for the Swiss rail system, and we were being railroaded around. We enjoyed the different SBB, Swiss Bundesbahn services, and the different hotels and places. And we did stop in St. Gallen, Switzerland. And I was particularly interested at the time. I was interested in rail travel, and writing about rail travel. But the main thing was that St. Gallen was one of the first documented monasteries that produced enough beer for not only themselves and their pilgrims, but for other monasteries in the area. So they were one of the first ones to really put down an organized brewery next to their kitchen. And there were some fantastic old manuscripts that showed this, all in Latin and things. And there's a museum in St. Gallen that specializes in old manuscript, particularly religious manuscripts. And the library where it was, as you can see, everything's behind glass. It's very old library, of course. Mahogany. It's like 3 stories tall. You have to wear little booties over your shoes because of the floors. It's very solemn, and the group of us, 12 of us, were being led through, and I particularly had asked to see the diagram of the monastery, and I forget what folio it was in, but I was shown it, and I was very pleased and took a picture and all that kind of good stuff, and I was very happy. And so we went in onto the main floor, and there were illuminated manuscripts, Bibles and hymnals and that type of thing. Again, going back hundreds and hundreds of years. So I'm walking by, and my eye is caught by one of the folios that's opened up, and it's a music piece, a mass. It's the Gloria in Latin. The Gloria. It's well, anyways, it's part of the old Latin mass. And so I'm looking at this thing, and it's in the old Gregorian writing, which is not like the EGBDF FACE in the chart for music charts and music's the way it's set up today. And so I'm looking at this thing, and the guide is going on, and I'm looking at the manuscript there, and I'm looking at it, thinking, and I look at it and I go, Gloria in excelsis Deo, et in terra pax hominibus bone voluntatis laudamus te. And by the time I got to that, I realized that I had an audience, and that was an embarrassing one. But the director said, "What?" And I said, "Well, I can vaguely read Gregorian chant, and I was a Catholic, lapsed Catholic, and I was in the choir, and we did sing many Gregorian chants, and so I just happened to know this one. So that was my disruption of the museum in St. Gallen. However, I did get to see the design of the brewery. And the other fun part of the story is that it happens to be fall. We were there, the last night when we were there was the 24th of September, which happens to be my birthday. And of course, when you're traveling with a group like that, everybody's passports have to be given in at the desk at the hotel wherever you're staying to be checked and then given back to you. And of course, the tour guide had noticed that my birthday, the 24th, and it was my birthday. And so for dinner, the last dinner there, they had the usual, thanks for everybody for showing up. And then I got the happy birthday, and apparently there's something good luck in that canton of Switzerland of a hedgehog. So they had this chocolate cake in the shape of a hedgehog that they brought out, and each one of the group had either a poem or a short little song to sing, and it was probably one of the most interesting birthdays that I had ever had. But that was the story of St. Gallen, Switzerland, and the search for ancient beer. And boy, we've got we had a couple of ancient beers here today. Oh boy, thank you for the thumbs up. I appreciate that. Tomorrow is Friday, and it's our 30th production day, and so I'm going to I have some real ancient, I'm talking ancient beers here now. This little fella is a Thomas Hardy ale. There you go. And This is, well, on the back here it says it's the rarest ale in Britain. This ale is one of the very few British ales bottled with its natural yeast, and it will mature in the bottle like fine wine. Its flavor will improve if stored at 12 Celsius, 55 degrees Fahrenheit, and will last for at least 25 years. If the bottle is disturbed, it must go to a therapist for another 25 years. No. If the bottle is disturbed before drinking, stand for 48 hours. Why would I want to stand for 48 hours? I want to sleep. No, that was bad. To allow natural sediment to settle and then pour carefully. And this is brewed by Eldridge Pope and Company in Dorchester in Dorset, England. So this was one of the, and oh yeah, I forgot to tell you the date on this one. 1992. So 8 years would be to 2000. That's 28 years old. Yes, sir, 28 years old. So we're going to crack this open tomorrow. And a friend of mine, Jaime Gerardo, who visited last Friday, sent a box of beer up. So we're going to crack that box open and see what kind of tasting treats he has for us. So that's what we'll be looking forward to tomorrow. Boy, I'm down to 2 people. Today was really a, well, what the hell? I'm going to have another beer. Okay. So let's see. Who do we have surviving with me? I don't know, but I appreciate that there's at least 2 of you there. This is Annette again. I'm on my way on the road to ruin. There was a movie, Sean Connery, I believe, and Daniel Defoe and a bunch of other very well-known actors, but it wasn't terribly well received. It was The Road to Perdition. And I always wondered what the road to perdition was, and of course it's the road to hell. I had to look it up in a dictionary. Dictionaries, boy, there's something. Huh? Instead of looking it up on your cell phone, you look it up in a dictionary. Boy, I have to. A good amount of of solid information can be found on your cell phone. Well, not so, but anyways. Technology just brings us together, takes us apart. When they can come up with a virtual beer, then I'll start to worry. I've always been convinced that bars will never die, but funny that prohibition was a law, and that couldn't stop people from drinking. And in the situation that we're in right now, I think it's people that are staying away. And there was I think it's Monday Nights Brewing Company. I might have mentioned this yesterday, but Monday Nights Brewing Company is in, I believe, Atlanta, Georgia. And they did a study of their customers, something like 700 or 800 of them that they contacted. And they asked them, because Georgia is reopening, I believe. And they asked them, when will we be seeing you again at the brewery? And 75% of them said not for another month or 2. So nobody's going to be jumping out, and there's a lot of fear out there, and simply in our own building. I know I know one person in particular, the fellow who does the beer tastings with me. He's got a mask on, and I don't think he stopped. And I wear one as well. In fact, I can't remember the name of it, an M59 or something like that. It's one of the big biggies. And he won't stay and talk for more than, say, 15 seconds. Hello and goodbye, and what are you doing, and what kind of beer you got, and that's it. So that's a thought. And I didn't think I was going to get to the topic about what's going down at the Old Growler here, at least for till next week. But the novelty is wearing off, so now it's the stick-to-itiveness, and we simply have to stick to it. So for those of you who are watching this at another date, who are watching it on a date other than the 30th of April, 2020, I thank you for getting this far. It looks like it's 40 minutes into this particular presentation. I hope you've been amused. Please let me know. You can get in touch with me in the comments box below, or peter.lafrance@beerbasics.com. I can be addressed. I could be addressed there. Oh, Your Highness, yes, I can address you. And I'd appreciate hearing from, especially hearing from folks who aren't seeing this on the 30th, on Thursday, the 30th of April, 2020. That means you have taken the effort to come and look for me, and I really do appreciate that. As any writer or anyone who does anything is to present themselves to the public, it's nice to hear from you guys every once in a while. I have to decide whether to go down or to call up a restaurant and pick up a bistro, local bistro, pick up a steak free, or go for the sushi. It's dark night. Feel like red wine, so we go for the steak. Maybe a skirt steak with risotto and a salad. One of the lucky things about being here in Brooklyn is that we do have so many establishments that are still open for pickup and also delivery. So it kind of takes the sting out of being isolated, so to speak. One of the great line in not Dooley Wilson. Was it Dooley Wilson? Yeah, Dooley Wilson in Casablanca, when he's having champagne with Rick in Rick's place, and he drinks down his champagne and he's playing his music, and he gets another glass of champagne poured for him, and he says, "This takes the sting out of being occupied." Well, I would rather water my garden with champagne than give it to the Germans. Casablanca, what a fun movie. And they had no idea how it was going to end until they ended it. I mean, there were two endings to it. So Google that up. Oh, executive privilege, please. I don't ask for a pardon, but I will. Again, thank all of you for being here. Oh, Monica, greetings. Yeah, dictionary. Oh, for pressing flowers. Poor Flowers. You should let him out. I mean, the only thing we said Flowers, Richmond Flowers, a football player, I do believe. But no, I understand. I understand. Oh, pressing flowers. Wow. I was going to get even worse and say, why not use an iron? But dictionaries are big books. That's the truth. Even bigger books are encyclopedias, man. I was lucky enough to be asked by Andy Smith to contribute to a couple of food and wine, food and drink encyclopedias for Oxford University Press. And boy, well, when I got those books, those suckers were like that thick. I mean, you could use them to. I could use them to get up to the wall of beer, but that's another story. Oh, the encyclopedia days. Don't remind me, or I'll tell you, and then we'll hear about it. Well, it's good to see you kids here. I got. I'm gonna cut this, so to speak. I do, as I say, thanks everybody for being here, and for the newcomers, thank you very much. I'll see you tomorrow. Same bat station, same bat channel. Oh, bat, geez, I caused all of this stuff, Peter. Where did you come up with? The next time would you please script this next time? People are going to hear this and think that you actually. On that note, folks, I wish you all a good night, and I hope to see you again tomorrow at 5 o'clock to have a beer with the Old Growler.